So I've been getting this question quite a lot. When does Bitcoin tend to top prior to its halving events? The blue vertical lines here are the halving events across time, even the future one as well. And Bitcoin tends to local top prior to its halving events like we see across time. And has this local top for 2023 just been in? Has it already occurred? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So subscribe to the channel and let's dive right in. So it's no secret that we tend to see local tops prior to a Bitcoin halving event. In 2012, we saw one right over here. So let's zoom in and pay attention to that one. 84 days prior to the November 2012 halving event. This is where we saw an upside wick and a massive crash before a strong rebound. But these crashes are one of the last opportunities to scoop up cheap Bitcoin before enjoying post-halving exponential price action to new all-time highs. So that's the November 2012 local top. Let's focus now on the 2015 local top, and it's a little bit different because it occurs in a longer time span before the halving event, but we also see a upside wick very similar to November, but we actually recover and then once again retrace, but we form a higher low. But the main takeaway here is that 252 days, roughly speaking, is where we see a local top for the very first time. This is the local top, theoretically and technically speaking, because it's a higher price point than this one right over here. But that higher low is what supports the general uptrend, and we form a ascending triangle of some sort here, a reaccumulation range before breaking out, seeing a pre-halving, halving, retrace once again, and then rallying to new all-time highs after the halving. So this is 252 days prior to the halving event. And prior to May 2020, we saw the June 2019 local top of 13,900 occur 322 days before the halving. We saw a strong uptrend with very minimal dipping opportunities. But then we saw a prolonged downtrend, and then of course the COVID crash just before the halving event. But generally speaking, local top in 2019, 322 days before May 2020 halving. So let's focus now on this 2023 cycle. How many days before this halving event could we see a potential local top based on what we've seen in the past? So if we take the 2019 local top, the local top should be already in. And that's a very fascinating fact because based on standards of history, at least according to 2019, we should see a local top already be in. And what's interesting about that is that this first peak right over here was very close, only a few weeks removed from that 322-day mark. Really interesting to see that. But if we take the 2015 252-day pre-halving local top, then historically we should be seeing a local top a few weeks ago, right? So that essentially suggests to us that the local top actually occurred a few weeks ago at 31K, 266 days ago. So very, very close once again to the 252 days that we saw in 2015. Very similar. So we're coming down to essentially a range here of where Bitcoin can local top based on 2019 and based on 2015. And we all come down to this range, that this is where we should local top in 2023. And it's really interesting because this range is generally close to this peak here and generally close to this peak right over here. And we've been in a downtrend, a small downtrend, a dip really, not much of a retrace, but we've been in a downside continuation mode since this 31K revisit. And that is bang on in this historical local top zone. That's really interesting because if we focus on 84 days prior to the halving, this is the 2012 figures from earlier on in the video. That would give us an indication that it's going to be in January 2024, a local top. But what I feel in this moment with the 2020 the 2012 84 days is that we'll probably see more of a pre-halving retrace. So this, if we retrace going into late 2023 and going into early 2024, that's what the 4-year cycle essentially suggests to us. I just feel like we're going to have additional retracement going into early 2024. So I wouldn't necessarily pay attention to this 2012 portion of data here. The market was very different back then. However, this still could be quite useful in giving us an idea as to when we could still see down prices for Bitcoin. Not necessarily the actual top there, but definitely downside continuation into a retrace and potentially getting closer to a bottom on that retrace, because if we remember previous price action, we tend to actually retrace quite significantly going into the new year prior to the halving. So it all comes down to this range right over here. This range based on 2019 and 2015. And historically speaking, we have local topped based on time. But it's not just a function of time when we come up with the answer of where could and when could Bitcoin top, because of course it comes down to price action as well, where, and it comes down to time. So according to time, we've topped out already based on the historically recurring themes in Bitcoin's price action and local tops prior to the halving. But based on price, it's very difficult to say that at this time. Potentially we're seeing a rejection right now. We're going to see a bit of downside going forward, and I talk about that in previous videos. But this resistance, this major resistance in 2023 that we're seeing right now, across time, this is an analogous resistance that has been breached in previous cycles before that local top has occurred. So it's really interesting how we're getting a bit of conflicting information, because time is suggesting that we're local topping, but in terms of price, historically we've always breached this analogous region right over here, and we're actually still rejecting from here, which is a little bit of a contradiction based on what we've seen in the past. So let's see how things further develop. We're definitely going to see a period of retracement right now. How deep it could go, I talk about that in previous videos, so feel free to check those out. But in terms of price, at the moment, we don't have the evidence to suggest that this is a local top, because many things can still change. We could still get a higher low, for instance, here. Many things can still change, and we could distort the potential double top formation that we're forming here. We could invalidate the weekly bearish divergence that we're forming as well. So in terms of time, perhaps a local top is in right over here, but in terms of price, we don't have evidence for that local top being in just yet. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this one educational. Like the video if you enjoyed this one and would like to see more videos like this going forward in the future. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.